hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated. If you find value in this video, consider liking and subscribing. It does help the channel out a lot. Now this video is going to be dark, and it's going to be non-specific as much as possible, because I live in the United Kingdom, we do not have freedom of expression, and I could wind up in prison. That being said, I'm going to discuss a few things and maybe not go as far as to draw complete conclusions, but I think most of the Western world is ruled by maniacs, and that's just my view. Your mileage may vary. When Russia invaded Ukraine a few years ago, the president of Russia made all of these pontifications about it's about sovereignty of the Ukrainian people, it's about reclaiming part of the Soviet Union, yada yada, yada yada. Cut to the chase, it's about resources, it's not about anything else in my particular view. Now Europe, generally speaking, Britain, the continent, the EU, even America, are all very, very, very happy to defend Ukrainian sovereignty and Ukrainian borders. I don't think it's to protect the sovereignty of Ukraine. I think it is to protect the resources that Ukraine has. That is my view. You know that the biggest backer of Russia is China. The China that my government, many governments, the Canadian government, many governments in the West suck up to. They are a totalitarian regime. They are communists. They have a social credit system. You are thrown in prison for wrong speak. And basically, they're not very nice people, is my view of the People's Republic of China. That is my view of the Chinese. Not the people, but their system of government, because it's communism. Then you look at our own invasion. Now, as I've already asserted and proven, you can defend a territory's integrity if it's about resources. The ruling people of my country, the United Kingdom, don't seem too concerned about the southern invasion in Britain. They just don't seem too bothered about it. They don't consider me, my safety, or the safety of the native people in Britain to be of a priority concern. Their priority concern is to manage their agenda and to manage their resources being, as I previously stated, Ukraine. I'm going to look at this first of all. What have I learned about Ukraine? No, Ukraine. Sorry, that was Greenland. I'm skipping ahead there. Okay. In terms of national resources, the food production potential, yes, Ukraine stands out as an exceptionally strategic due to its scale, soil quality, very important, and export capacity. No other European country matches its combination of vast arable land and the focus on bulk staple grains that can feed both people, livestock across the continent, and more broadly, the wider world. However, when considering all the resources, not just agriculture, Ukraine's strategic value is even broader and more contested. It has significant critical minerals, lithium, titanium, graphite, and rare earths that are vital for Europe's green energy transition, batteries, high-tech industries. Europe lacks many of these domestically, and making Ukraine a potential key supplier for near EU borders. Let's have a look now. Other assets include iron ore, coal, natural gas reserves, and infrastructure, and a large skilled workforce. That's all Ukraine. It's got very, very, very fertile land. If only there was a way the people that rule over us could ensure that it was going to stay fertile. If only, I can't really put my finger on it. If only there was a way they could make it, evergreen fertile. If only. One can hope. And then we move on to what I want to mention before we move on from Ukraine is European people are being sold a pup with this war, and that's just my opinion. They're being sold a pup because they're being told that Russia is evil, Russia is dirty, Russia is evil, evil, bad, bad, bad. And yet, many people, or many of the countries in Europe, still depend on Russia for energy. So it comes down to costs, and it comes down to prices and interests on exporting your resources. It doesn't come down to morality, and it doesn't come down to what's doing right or doing wrong. Then we move on to what happened with Trump and Venezuela. Venezuela was part, or at least in my opinion or my view, part of China, the communist regimes, expanding their global influence with their Belt and Road Initiative. You'll find that China has been very strategic in basically going to impoverished African and former colony and empire nations, not just of Britain, but many of the European empires of yesteryear, and giving them infrastructure on the cheap, basically on layaway to pay back at a later point. China's been very strategic with that, and they're doing it all across the world, and Venezuela was a key part of that. Trump came in, all guns are blazing, deposed their president or their prime minister, whatever you want to call them, and said, no, you're not going to do that. That is why many of the wet rulers we have in Europe and the wider world disavow Trump, because the most important thing that President Trump has proven is he is not a career politician. He wasn't a politician at all. Okay, so he may actually be in it for the right reasons. Then you look at Greenland. I'm going to go into Greenland. Now, I don't think Trump's threats to Greenland are going to amount to anything. Oh, we're going to take Greenland, we're going to do anything with that. I do not think that that is it doesn't make sense. I think it is Trump sounding off and Trump saying, listen, you are not going to put Greenland on the Belt and Road Initiative from China. You're not going to do that. These resources belong to the West. They do not belong to China, and they never will be. Let me look into Greenland in a bit more detail. Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark and stands as one of the West's most significant untapped strategic assets, particularly in terms of critical minerals, rare earth elements, and Arctic geopolitics. Its value stems from a combination of vast, largely undeveloped natural resources and its irreplaceable location, making it increasingly central to discussions about energy, defence, and reducing dependence on China. You can understand why Denmark would want to keep it as an autonomous part of their country. Greenland holds some of the world's most largest known untapped reserves of rare earth elements, critical for electric vehicles, wind turbines, high-tech magnets, defence systems, electronics. Let's just have a look for electronics, should I say. Sites like, I can't even pronounce those, so I'm not going to try, rank among the globe's top deposits, with Greenland proven REE reserves estimated at about 1.5 million metric tons. Here are then we'll end that one there. Now in terms of the resources, it is a fact, in my view, that all of this help that we're giving Ukraine, all of this financial support to stop Russian aggression, we're not doing it for free. Ukraine is going to be indebted to the continent, it's going to be indebted to America and anybody that chipped in, and it's going to be indebted in terms of resources, alright? In terms of not people, yet again, it's not about people, it's not about me, and it's not about you. And that is why they're happy to increase the soldier age for reserves in the United Kingdom. They're happy to put through certain contested pieces of legislation about people leaving the mortal coil. Again, got to be careful about the way I phrase things, because it's YouTube. Because my life and yours, frankly, is of no importance to the people that rule over us. And that is why they view my claim to my ancestral homeland, me belonging in this United Kingdom as an indigenous Briton, as neither here nor there. They don't care if my signs are in English, Welsh, Scottish, or Gaelic as it is up there, or in Punjab or Hindi. They really don't care. These are my views, and it's concerning because people who govern over us, they're not actually governing with humanity, they're not governing from the heart, they are governing for self-centered interest. The career politicians that are making these decisions, officially making these decisions, because we all know who's running the shop, is the unelected bureaucrats, not just in my country, but all over the world. They don't see our actual democracy as being valuable. That is why you can have my Prime Minister cancel elections. You can have my Prime Minister say, right, okay, we don't like what she said, we're going to stop her coming into Britain. Right, we don't like what this mum said, we're going to send her to jail for 3 years. It's easier to stifle dissent than it is to face the consequences of your actions, according to our rulers. You may think this is a bit conspiratorial. I think it's abundantly clear. I think I've laid out the case, and I think that President Trump, is doing us all a service, and people need to understand that. You may find him brash, you may not agree with all of his politics, but that's the thing. He speaks like a layman, he speaks like a regular person, and he's probably one of the only leaders in Europe currently in an elected position of power that's actually holding the wolf at the door, for lack of a better phrase. I am concerned, and I think we all should be concerned. Now, if you like this video, and you think I made some good points making me aware, you let me know. Do you think our politicians know the meaning of human life? I really don't. And the way that they plug the abortion agenda is also sickening. It really is. And again, it adds to the depopulation, of people that want a bit more, the aspiration, they want better for themselves. They don't like these people because they're asking, it's like Oliver, they want some more, and rather than give us more, they would rather that we were no longer here. I appreciate your time. I'm sorry to be a bit of a Debbie Downer, but I just needed to get this off my chest. I appreciate your time, you have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Hopefully it'll be a bit more upbeat.